I'm not ashamed to say I was a little tired last night, but I got in and settled in by the dog. I was a little tired. Doug had the newspaper about reported General Forrest killed. That reminded me of what Sherman said. He said that devil Forrest is around Johnsonville, causing havoc among the gunboats. Kill him. If it costs 10,000 lives and breaks the treasury, kill him. There won't be any peace until he's dead. And remind me of Sturgis in the Bryce's Crossroads campaign. That he's going to bring Forrest's hair back. He told a woman that. She said, well, a lot of men have tried. And then after the Battle of Bryce's Crossroads, he said, if Forrest will leave me alone, I'll leave him alone. Where was Nathan Bedford Forrest the 1st of November? I think the 6th. Tearing up the gunboats at Johnsonville. That's a wonderful sight, by the way. $5 million worth of transports and gunboats destroyed in about a day and a half, which is equated out to, about $350 million. That's a pretty good day and a half work. Forrest was a master at tearing up things. And that's why Grant didn't care about graders. When Forrest was around, he was looking at all the maps, wondering where is he going to come out at. And he arrives at Florence, Alabama on November 18th. An order came from Bragg sent through the Major Landis, that is with the, not commissary, what's that department, whatever, but all the mules, extra mules, send to the back to the department, and everything Forrest had he captured. He just ignored it. So this little Major Landis came down to inquire about mules, and they said Forrest's eyes about crossing, steam coming out of his ears. He says, you go back to that department and don't come back here again, or I'm going to take your skinny little legs, tie them around your neck like a bow tie, and strangle you to death with your shin bones. And they never inquired about mules again, by the way. He said it's a fool's order anyway. The roads are horrible. Get rid of all this baggage, all the desks, all the crap, and go light. And of course, Forrest was a. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. There she is.
I made it. Barely. What happens when you get sleep apnea and you don't bring your machine? Wait about 10 times tonight.
I thought you were making baklava.
One of Sherman's great traits, he was a logistics man. He was a master of logistics. And so was Nathan Bedford Forrest. He knew where every blanket was. He was not illiterate. I read his letters. He didn't write phonetically at times. He was a mathematician. Give him an algebra problem, he'd figure out about 3 seconds. Any kind of geometry problem. He was a businessman. And every blanket was accounted for before that campaign started. Obviously out the driveway, take a right. This gentleman asked, how did he die? He died on October 29th, 1877. How did he die? That's a good question. Some say diabetes. Some say he had tapeworms from all the years. He was wounded 4 times in the war. He killed 30 men with his own hand. That's not counting Confederates. And 29 horses shot out from underneath him. He said at the end of the war, he said, I was one up. He wanted a sick leave. He was exhausted after that Bryce's Crossroads, Fort Pella, Johnsonville, Harrisburg, all that deal. He was exhausted. But Richard Taylor, who was commanding, no, he had to go to Hood. And after tearing up at Johnsonville, he arrived with Hood's army at Florence, Alabama on November 18th. And then the 19th, I think it was the 17th he arrived. The 19th they crossed at Florence, Alabama, and then the 21st they go into Tennessee. Nathan Bedford Forrest was 6'2", weighed about 185 pounds. Very complex individual, as was Sherman. Take a left here. Off duty, Forrest was very soft-spoken. Loved jokes on himself. During the withdrawal in the Tullahoma campaign at Deckard, his orders just to fall back, don't make a stand, fall back. And as they're falling back, this lady comes out there to the troopers and yells at them, "Fight, you cowards! Fight, you cowardly curs! If old Forrest was here, he'd make you fight." And this officer just tips his hat to the lady and rides on. And that night, Forrest said, "I'd rather go up against a whole battery of artillery than that woman." She never knew it was him. Half of a big portion of Forrest was psychology. You get in your head, so like in football in the old days, you could slap them in the helmet, get in that ear hole, slap them in that ear hole, you in their head. You either make them mad and they couldn't play well, or they got, you know, they were worried about you. And the same thing with Forrest. Just his name alone brought a lot of worry, a lot of worry. And what if, as we touch on today, that Forrest could have got behind this federal army at Franklin. Just the idea of him being behind us, it's dark. Dear gosh, oh Lord, we're in trouble. It didn't occur, and what if, conjecture. But I think on these tours it's important to go through that. That's my opinion. Some historians think you shouldn't do that. I think it's a good thing. Even in football games, you wonder, oh Lord, if just this, that, or this or that, or whatever. And I don't equate sports to war, of course. It's a great honor to be again with you today. It's going to be cloudy, maybe a little sprinkling, but the heavy rain's gone through to the east. By about midday, it's going to clear out, be sunshiny. So this morning I was going, whoa, okay, rain or shine, here we go. We're not going to melt. So, and take a right here. I better watch. I don't want to get Rick. That's Rick's only marching orders, so don't get me lost. As you know, by Spring Hill, that morning of November 30th, General Hood, John Bell Hood, right outside of Mount Sterling, Kentucky, he was born. But nonetheless, he was as wrathy as a rattlesnake, striking out at everyone. That source is Major Cummings, by the way, of his staff. And, of course, the Federal Vanguard arrives in Franklin at 4 a.m. The Vanguard. And started fortifying. But it doesn't matter. Start fortifying the existing breastworks. By about 10 a.m. they felt pretty comfortable. Remember, the 2 of the 3 bridges had been burned and flooded out. Thomas wanted Schofield to hold Franklin for 3 days. Schofield knew his flanks were untenable, and the orders were cover the bridges at 3, leave by 6. I want to repeat, 800 wagons. I won't go through the horses and mules today, this morning especially, but 800 wagons. And it's going to take a long time to cross that river, at least 6 hours. Every wagon has to have a spotter to make sure it doesn't go over. It's a real intricate thing. When you rebuild those bridges, it's not those massive structures like they were before. You throw them together, you get them across. And it's a big thing getting those wagons across the river. The Federal Army had their backs to the river, and so that's a dangerous enemy when you got somebody cornered. They know where to go. And the Federal Army is exhausted. The Confederate Army is angry and exhausted. Coming up toward Franklin, the rookies, you know what fresh fish are, don't you? Rookies. They carry too much stuff. And slowly, no rush, but slowly get in the left lane, just at your leisure. They carry too much stuff. Veterans go light, but they carry all this mess. And some of Updike's brigade were taking bayonets and prodding them in the back, keep them moving, and cutting off their knapsacks, cutting off their stuff. So keep them moving on. There's an interesting component here of leadership today, especially on the federal side. Remember what one federal soldier said? This is a soldier's battle. You were the commanding general on the 2 square feet of ground you stood on, and nobody's obeying orders. Everybody's disobeying everybody, and it's incredible. And we'll touch on that a great deal with George Day Wagner from Indiana, 31-year-old brigadier general. He was at Shiloh, Stones River, at the Round Forest, at Missionary Ridge, the Atlanta campaign. He was known to have a sip now and then. Which that beside the point, except on duty, that's a different thing. Grant was known to have a sip, but not on duty. Not on duty. That's a different ball game. And apparently, there's a letter from the Atlanta campaign just shared with me recently from a federal soldier that Wagner was a little tipsy, to be gentle about it. And apparently, David Stanley, the Corps commander of the 4th Corps here, who I like for various reasons. But I'll tell you what he said later. Stanley did not like Sherman. He said that Sherman always blamed others for his mistakes. And I think Sherman blamed him for something about Jonesboro, I believe. And the Federal Army had their problems too as far as animosity. Fighting Tom Sweeney. How many of you have ever heard of him? He's from Cork, Ireland. And he had lost his arm at Chebusha, I can't never pronounce English, the Mexican War. And then the Atlanta, he wasn't here because of the Atlanta campaign. He was mad at Dodge, invited him in for refreshments with Fuller, and then immediately called him every name in the book, ending every sentence with "sir," following military protocol. "You're a SOB, line SOB, sir." And Fuller jumped in and says, "What pudding you got in this?" And Sweeney punched him, and then punched Dodge. And then finally Fuller had him on the ground trying to strangle Sweeney to death. Well, that was the end of Sweeney's career, but he sent a letter to Claiborne, Atlanta campaign, I think around Kingston, that after this war's over with, let's go to Canada and liberate our Canada. And Claiborne said, "I think after this war we'll have enough fighting to last us a lifetime." Tied into Franklin, James Coughlin, lieutenant on General Jacob D. Cox's staff, was captured, marching by Claiborne's headquarters. Claiborne saw he was an officer, invited him in, and he shared his dinner with him. Set him on. The provost took his hat, boots, and blankets. Claiborne was enraged about that, and I'm sure the provost was lower than E flat. And Claiborne gave that lieutenant one of his hats, a pair of his boots, and a blanket. And Coughlin would be in line of battle by the Cotton Gin on November 30th, 1864. And of course, Claiborne will be coming toward the Cotton Gin. We'll tell you that story later. There's so many stories here on both sides, and that's what my objective is today, along many things, is try to give some of these stories out, make things clear. There's not a lot of tactics and maneuvering today like it was yesterday. It is coming right at you. Was Hood angry on the afternoon of November 30th as he was in the morning? No documentation of that. It's not noted. My personal opinion, I think he's probably still miffed some, considering how angry he was that morning, but that's not documented. So I will not say that he made decisions on anger whatsoever. There were opportunities here at Franklin. There were opportunities. One was that advanced line. We'll discuss and develop a great deal while we're on this tour. Two corps of infantry that would be attacking would be Frank Cheatham's corps, Claiborne, Brown, and Bates division, and A.P. Stewart's corps, Lauren, Walthall, and French's division. Ed Johnson's division would come in at night about 7:30. We'll touch on that, of course. Who's on Central Time here when you go home? Who lives on Central Time? Not too many. We're Central Time here by 4, excuse me. Will the attack begin at 4 o'clock? Straight. We only have an hour and 3 minutes of sunlight left. So 80% of this battle is going to be at nighttime. How many of you, I can run a name about my 9 major battles of the war that had any nighttime fighting. And this is 80% at nighttime. If you count skirmishing after 9 o'clock, we're talking about close to 95% at night. But for the 5-hour battle, it's 5 hours, not days or weeks, 80% at nighttime. I can't hardly go there myself in my own mind. I can't hardly go there for many reasons. It's bad enough in the daytime, but when you get to that nighttime stuff. The Carter Garden is private property. 2 houses are there. My best friend owns it. I'm the only individual allowed to take people over there. So later on, and I know we had been